Good evening, all of you. Today it is day 22. So, in this day 22, we are going to discuss about files. So, in day 21, I'm giving a small introduction about files. So, what is a file, and what are the different types of files, data file and text file, and based on the data will be going to access on the file. So, it can be classified into sequential file and a random access file. So data file, what is a data file? So it is the data file contain data stored in the form of a records. So the data can be stored in the form of a records. That records may relate to a person or student or company or organization. So the type of information is called as a data file, and whereas in text file it contains information stored in the form of a string characters. So the information can be stored in the form of a string characters that can be called as a text file, and based on the accessing of the data it can be classified into sequential file and random access file. So if it is a sequential file, you can uh, you can store or you can access the file sequentially one by another. So the best example for sequential access file will be tape or audio cassettes. So it will be used in the olden days. And next one is the random access file. So in a random access file, data or information can be read randomly. So the best example for random access file will be CD, DVD or hard disk and so on. And also we are going to discuss in day 21, basic operations on files. So these are the different types of functions can be used on your files, like fopen, fclose, fgetC, fprintf, fscanf, fputC, and fwrite, fseek, feof, ferror, and ftell. So these are the different types of functions can be used in the files, and followed by mode operations. So different types of file mode operations. So at the time of reading of a file, at the time of creating a file, you have to use these different types of mode operations. So like the mode will be a read mode, so it will be used for open a text file for reading. So if the file already existing in your computer, now you have to open that text file for reading. And W, so W for creating. So if you want to create a new file, you have to use a W. So create a text file for writing, and A for appending to a text file, and RB for reading a binary file for reading, and W for writing or creating a binary file writing, and AB for appending to a binary file, and R plus, that means open a text file for read or write operation, and W plus create a text file for read or write operation, and A plus appending for create a text file for read or write operation, R plus B, so that is opening a binary file for read or write operation, W plus B, so create a binary file for read or write operation, and A plus B appending or create a binary file for read or write operations. So these are the different types of mode operations can be used at the time of opening of a text file, or creating a text file, or appending a text file. You have to use all these different types of mode operations according to your requirements. So this is example. Yesterday I run this example. Then I got what are the input you are going to read from the keyboard, and same output, same input, which will going to store into the input.dat text file. So once you can open input.dat file, so then what is the input you are going to read from the keyboard? So same input which will going to display inside of input.dat file. So this program I'm going to execute it in the previous session, that is a day 21. So now day 22, now it is a day 22. So in this day 22, we will go and discuss about some followed by example, one example. After that, we will go and discuss about command line arguments, and after that, we will go and discuss about pointers. So now let us see the one of the example in day 22. on files. So write a C program to count number of characters, spaces, tab spaces, and tabs and new lines in a text file. So here, if you want to find out a number of characters, so then you have to use this condition. That is, if ch is equal to end of file. So we'll go and count the number of. We'll going to get the characters from the file. So from the keyboard. So until you are not going to reach to the end of the file. So whenever you are going to reach to the end of the file, then it will go on to terminate. So that means it will go and print the number of characters in a file. So this code for used for counting number of characters. So after that I'm going to use spaces. So if any character contain a single space, so then it will go and count the number of characters. So here NOB stands for number of blank spaces. So next, if ch is equal to /n, so /n is used for displaying a new line. So if you want to count a number of lines in a text file, then you have to use /n. Then you will go and get the number of lines in a file. So next one, if you want to calculate number of tab spaces in a text file, then you have to use ch is equal to /t. So t for tab spaces. So after that you can close the file pointer, and now we have to display number of characters, number of blanks, and number of spaces and number of lines in a file. So here I'm going to take a file name is called hist.txt. I'm going to open a file. So that is a hist.txt, and it is a read operation. So that means that the hist.txt already there in my computers. So I'm going to open this hist.txt file. Then I want to perform read operation. So I'm not going to create a new file. So just already the hist.txt file is there in my computer. Then I'm using a read mode operation. I'm going to read the content. Then I want to display characters, blanks, tabs, and new lines in a program. So now I'm going to execute this code. So let us open the notepad, and after that you can copy the remaining example. So now you can save the file, save, and followed by save type will be all files, and you can save. Let us take a file or count. I will simply write count ch dot c. So now the program is saved. Now you can open Turbo C++. So before that, what I will do, I'm going to close all the windows. What are the windows I'm going to open? So I'm going to close all the windows. So now I'm going to open my program. So it will be count dot c. So this is my program, count dot c. And before that, what I have to do? So I'm going to write so file. So I'm going to write file hist. I'm taking a file is hist.txt. So before that, what I have to do? I'm going to open a new file, and here I'm going to write a welcome space to space and tutorial, and here I'm going to use the tab space and tutorial PPS or on PPS. So this is my content. So in content I'm writing welcome to So welcome space, to space, tutorial, and I'm using here tab space on followed by space PPS, and in the next line I will also write another line. So that is uh, simple to learn. So simple to learn. So that is my content. Now I'm going to save this content with the file name hist.txt file. So that is a file I'm using in my program, hist.txt. So now I'm going to open my existing program. Now let us run this code. So there is no errors. Now can run the code. So this is the output of the following uh, program. So in this example, it will go and count the number of characters in my file history.txt is 42 characters, and the number of blanks, I mean the number of spaces I used in my file, five spaces, and how many tabs I used in my file. So I'm using only one tab space. That's why it will go and count one tab space. And how many lines I'm writing in file? 2 lines. Okay, now clear? I hope you will be understanding what I am saying. So just I want to go to my, so this is a history.txt file. So in this history.txt file, it contains total number of characters will be 42 characters, and I am using a spaces. So I am using a spaces. So then it will go and count how many spaces I am using here. So this is a 1, 2, and this is a 3, and this is 4, and this is 5. So total number of spaces will be 5 spaces, and how many tab space I am using here. So I am using only one tab space. That's why I got the output only one tab space. And how many lines here it contain file? So it contain 2 lines. So then I got the file, I got the output like this. So number of characters will be 42, and number of blanks will be 5, and the number of tab space I am using in my file will be only 1, and the number of lines in a file will be 2 lines. So that is a program for counting number of characters. So number of characters and the number of blank spaces, or number of tab spaces, and number of lines in a hist.txt content. I hope you will be understanding what I am saying. So if you have any doubts, please post your query in the chat box. So next one is command line arguments. So up to now in functions, up to now we have to discuss about different types of uh, topics, and this will be a this will be definitely, it will be a different from other topics. So that means generally you are going to see in a function, inside of the function you are going to pass arguments like int a comma int b. Clear what I am saying? In a calling function or called function, you can pass actual arguments or formal arguments or formal parameters. And similarly, in main function also, it contain two types of arguments. So that is called argc. So argc stands for, it will go and count the number of arguments in a program, and argv. So it is a pointer variable argv. Then it will go and store number of argument vectors in this argument vector. So argv stands for argument vectors. So the main function will be also contain two types of arguments. You can pass two types of arguments in a void main or int main and so on. So that will be argc and argv. So argc stands for count, an argument count, and argv, v stands for argument vectors. So now I'm going to show how we'll go and write the program on command line arguments, and after that how we'll going to execute this code. So this is a program for command line arguments. So in this command line arguments, I'm going to pass two arguments in a main function, int argc comma character star argv. So now I'm going to use a count variable, and I'm going to print a number of argument counts, and after that I'm going to use the loop control statements. I'm going to print argument count and argument vectors. What are the arguments I'm going to pass to this program? Then it will go and store into the index number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. and it will going to count the number of arguments uh, in the program. So for example, how will going to execute this code? So we're not going to execute this code by pressing Alt F9 and Control F9. So for execution of this code, you can go to the command prompt. You can open a command prompt, and where the program will be stored in your computers, then you can go to that command. You can go to that command prompt. So here I'm going to store the program in F drive and TC and 413 434 fold, roll number. So inside of that 434 folder, I'm going to save this program. So from that, I'm going to execute by using a command. So command. So here command is a program name. So I'm going to save this program as a command.c. So that's why here I'm giving a program name. So program name is a command, and followed by I'm passing arguments. So I'm passing. So once I click, once I press enter button, then it will go and count the number of arguments. So the number of arguments it will go and count will be 4. So that means that it will be also include the program file name also, program file name also. So here it will be 1, and it will be 2, and it will be 3, and it will be 4. So that's why it will go and count number of arguments will be 4, and for each and every arguments can be stored into the argument vector. So that will be stored into the argument 0. So it will go and store command.exe file, and argument vector 1, which will go and store what are the arguments we are passing to this program. That will go and store into at argument vector blue color, and green color at which will store at argument 2, and yellow color that will be going to store at argument 3. So like this we'll go and execute the command line arguments. So definitely this execution will be different from other programs in the C program. I hope you'll be understanding what I am saying. So if you want to execute this code, you can go to command prompt, and you can provide a file name and followed by different types of arguments. So then it will go and count number of arguments, and each argument will be stored into argument vector 0, and so on. So that is for command line arguments. So for execution of this code, you can go to command prompt, and then you can execute your program. So that is about command line arguments. So now I will continue to the next one. So that will be about pointers. So what is a pointer, or what is a array? So I said that at the time of discussing about array. So array is a static data structure. Array is a static data structure. That means that once you can declare the array size, so you cannot change that size of the array at the time of compilation or at the time of execution of the program. At the time of execution of the program, you are not going to change size of the array. So whereas pointers will be comes under dynamic memory allocation. So you can change the size of the array or size of the variable at the time of execution of the program. Why? Because it will be comes under array is a dynamic data structures. So now let us see what is the definition of pointer. So pointer is a memory variable, and that store address of memory, the address of another variable. So generally will be know everyone. So whenever you are going to assign a value to the variables. So for example, I am writing int a is equal to 10. So this is my value of a is equal to 10. So whenever I am going to assign value to the variable a, so then the value will be stored into the memory location. So for example, let us assume that the address of this memory location will be 2050. So this is 2050 is a memory address where the value of a which will be stored into the memory location. So on that 2050, the value of a can be stored into the memory location. So for example, if you want to print a value, so then you can use a printf function. So if you want print a value, if you want to use a value, so just you can use print function, and by using a printf function and followed by formatted string and followed by formatted string and followed by variable. So then we'll get the value of a on the console window. So whereas in if you want to display the memory address of variable a, then you have to use followed by address of a. So if you want to display the value of a, so then we'll get the output will be 10. So in a printf function you have to write a, then we'll get, it will go and print value of a. For example, if you want to know what is the memory locations of a variable a, then you have to use printf personally comma address of a. So then it will go and display 2050 value. So it will go and display the memory address. So it will go and display the memory address where the value which will go and store into the computers. So I hope you will be understanding what I am saying. So that is about a pointer. So pointer is a memory variable that will go and store address of another variable. And what are the advantages of using a pointers? So the pointers is going to save the memory space. So why? Because the pointers will be comes under dynamic memory structures. So that's why the pointer is going to save the memory space. So how much amount of memory is required? Only for that memory will be allocated for the variables at the time of execution of the program. And whereas in array, it is a static data structures. So the array, you cannot increase or you cannot decrease the size of the array. So whereas in pointers, you can increase or you can decrease the size of the space or memory. So that's why it will go and save the memory space, and pointers are used to increase the speed of execution. So when compared to static data structures, the dynamic data structure is going to execute it it will go and speedily you can execute the program. And pointers are used to reduce the length and the complexity of a program. So by using a pointers, we will go and reduce the length and complexity of a program. And similarly, the memory is accessed efficiently with the pointers. So if you want access address of memory, address of computer memory, then you can use a pointers concepts. Now let us see, next one is operators. So what are the operators can be used in pointers? What are the operators can be used in pointers? So you have to use two types of operators, that is a star operator and address of operator. So what is a star operator indicates? So it can be called as a indirection operator or a dereference operator. So the star operator is a dereference operator or indirection operator. So what is where you can use a dereference operator or indirection operator? So that means that while declaring of a pointer variables. So for example, I am declaring int and followed by star a. So at the time of declaring of a pointer variable, you have to use a star operator. And similarly, if you want to access the value which will be stored into a particular location. So for example, if you want to access a value of a, that is 10, which will be stored into the memory location, then you have to use a star. So the star which will go and display the value of the variable. So whereas in address operator, the address operator which will go and display address location of the memory, computer memory. For example, the address of computer memory on that 2050, the value of a which will go to store. So if you want to display computer memory address, then you have to use the address operator. And if you want to display value at address location 2050, then you have to use value for displaying a value. You can use a star operator. I hope you will be understanding what I am saying. So with help of a star operator, you can display the values of variables. And by using address operator, you can display the address computer memory address. So that is the difference between star and address operators. So these are the two operators can be used in pointers. And let us see how we'll go and declare the pointers. So I just said that by using a data type and followed by variable name, So before that variable name we have tried star. So then the variable can be called as a pointer variable. So whereas in ordinary variables, so we'll go and write a data type and followed by variable name. So if it is a pointer variable, you have to write a star and followed by variable name. Then the variable is called as a pointer variables. So for example, int, the data type is integer and the variable name will be ptr and followed by star. So then the variable is called as a pointer variable. So for example here I am representing the pointers variable. If you want to display the memory address, then you have to use the address of PTR. So that the PTR contain memory address. So please remember these points. So which will may ask in the gate examinations. So this type of questions may ask in the gate examinations. So the pointer, the PTR is going to hold memory address, and whereas a star PTR is going to hold value. I hope you will be understanding what I am saying. The address of PTR or PTR which can store memory address, and star PTR which will go and store value of variable. So that is the only difference between star PTR and address PTR. So and this is a declaration of a pointers. So now this is an example here. So so this is a sample example. So in this example I am writing variables a is equal to 5 and b is equal to 10. So these are the ordinary variables, and here I am using a pointer variable star PTR. So that's why it is called as a pointer variable. And remaining a and b are ordinary variables, only star and followed by variable name. So it is called as a pointer variable, and remaining are a and b are ordinary variables. So now I am going to use PTR. PTR is equal to address of a. So now I'm asking to store the value of a. So that means for example I am writing here a. So this is a, and the value of a will be 5. Then let us take the address of this memory will be 2050, and similarly b value. So b, and the value of b will be 10, and the address of this will be, let us take 2052. So now in this example I am going to assign address of a to PTR. Address of a. So what is the address of a here? It is a 2050. So that value will be stored in the PTR variable. So now the PTR contain address of variable a. So now I am going to display what are the before values of a and b. So before values of a is equal to %d and b is equal to %d comma a comma b. Then I got output will be a is equal to 5 and b equal to 10. So now I am going to assign value to b variable, that is it is a pointer variable. So that means that star indicate that it contain value of variable. So what is a star here? What is a star here? So it is a star PTR which will going to pointing out to the variable a at address location 2050. What is the value will be there? So that value will be goes to assigned to b value. I hope you will be understanding what I am saying. So what is a in address location at address location 2050, what is a value will be there of a? That value will be going to assign to b variable. So now I am going to print a and b. Then I got a is equal to 5 and b is equal to 5. Why? Because the PTR, the star PTR contain, that is a star indicate that value of a. So that means star PTR will be referred to PTR. PTR is equal to address of a. That means that at address of 2050 of variable a, the value. So that value will be goes to assign to b variable. So that's why I got a is equal to 5 and b is equal to 5. So next I am going to display value of PTR. So what is the value of PTR? What is the value of PTR here? So which will go and display 2050 memory address. And what is the address of variable a here? Again, the address of variable a will be also 2050 only. And what is the start PTR value? So what is the start PTR value? So that means that the start PTR which will be pointing to the address of A. That means at address location 2050, what is the value of A? That is 5. So that will be stored. That will be stored to the star PTR. That will be stored star PTR. So please remember that simply star PTR is nothing but what is the value which will be assigned to the PTR, that value will be displayed. So in this example, I am going to assign address of A, then the value will be stored into the PTR, start PTR pointer variable. So that's why for displaying of for running of my program, then I got the start PTR will be 5, and address of A I got 4040 or 2050. I hope you will be understanding. If it is a PTR, simply you have to write address, and if it is a star PTR, then you have to write value of the variable. So that is about pointers. So next one is initialization. How will going to initialize the pointer variables? So simply you have to use a pointer variable is equal to followed by address of A. Like previously you are initialize the value of address of A. So this type of statements can be called as a initialization of the pointer variables. So by using a pointer variable is equal to followed by address and followed by variable name. So with help of that, we'll going to initialize the pointers. Now coming to pointer arithmetics. So in a pointer arithmetics, we have to use a plus plus operator or minus minus operator. That is called increment and decrement operator, or prefix and postfix operators. Now how will going to use plus plus and minus minus? So generally plus plus indicate that which will going to incremented by 1. The value will be going to incremented by 1, and minus minus indicate that the value is going to decremented by 1. So that is the meaning for plus plus and minus minus. So now what about in pointers? What about in pointers? For example, I am using a data type int I is equal to 2, and my initial address of I is equal I value will be 4046. So this is a memory address 4046. That is the initial value, and after applying a plus plus operation, so then it will go on to incremented 4048. That means that it is a integer data type. So that's why it will go to occupy 2 bytes of memory address. So it will go to incremented 2 bytes of memory. So that's why it will go to incremented from 4046 to 4048. And if you are applying a minus minus operation, then it will go and decremented from 4046. So that means if you decremented by 2, then I got 4044 value. I hope you will be understanding what I am saying. So if it is a plus plus operator, it will go and incremented based on the data type, which will go and incremented 2 bytes. And if it is a minus minus operator, so from initial address it will go to decremented. And similarly character, so it is initial address is 4053, and after applying a plus plus and minus minus, the value will be 4054, and decrement, it will go decremented from initial address 4052. And if it is a float value, so the initial address will be 4058, and a plus plus and minus minus, then it will go to occupy 4 bytes of memory. So that's why it will go to incremented 4062, and if it is decremented, it will go decremented from this initial address, then I got 4054. I hope you will be understanding what I am saying. So here the plus plus and minus minus pre increment and pre decrement or post increment or post decrement operators will be used for different purpose here in pointers. So actually the plus plus indicate that it will go and incremented by 1, and minus minus indicate that it will go and decremented by 1. That is the meaning for plus plus and minus minus. But In arithmetic, pointer arithmetic, it will be different. So based on the data type, which will go and incremented by 2 or by 4 or by 1, or it will go and decremented by 2, by 1 or by 4. So that is about arithmetic operators. So this is another example. So here I am going to read n value from the keyboard, and after that I am going to display the number, and after that I am going to display the memory address. That means where the value which will be stored into the computer memory. So then I want using a address operator, I want display the address location, memory address value I want to display with help of a address operator. So that's why here whenever I am reading a value 20, then it will go and display value of number will be 20, and the address of number will be stored at memory address will be 4066. So that is the output of the following program. And next one is sum. I want to perform sum of the two pointer variables, that is a, b, and I want to store address of a value into ptr1 and address of b into ptr2. Then I want to read two numbers from the keyboard, that is a and b. So these values will be stored at address of a in ptr1 and address of b in ptr2. Then I want some star ptr plus star ptr2. So that means that at address location of A, what is the value which will go and store into the value that will be going to substitute here. And similarly, at address of B, what is the value will be there for B, that value will be substituted here. So then I got simply A plus B. Then I got the A plus B operation, and the entire result will be going to store into the sum. Then I want to display the sum of the output. So this is for sum of two numbers by using a pointers. And another one, biggest number. I will go and find the biggest number among given numbers. So here I am going to find out two numbers. So which one is the biggest number among two numbers? So here I am going to assign initializing address of A to ptr1, address of B to ptr2. Then I want to read two numbers from the keyboard. So that will be going to store at a memory location of A, that will be stored ptr1, and B value will be stored address in the memory location, and it will pointing to ptr2. Now I am going to write here if star ptr1 greater than star ptr2. That means the value. So here star indicate that value of A on memory address, what is the value will be there. So that value is greater than and star ptr2, and value of B at memory location, what is the value will be there, that value will be substituted in the place of star ptr2. That means that A greater than B. If A greater than B, then I am going to display big is equal to A, or else I am going to display big is equal to B value. Then finally I am going to display biggest number followed by formatted string comma star big. Then I got among two numbers, which value is a greatest number, then it will go on display. So just I will execute this one in a notepad. So I'm going to take the one more notepad. So now I'm going to copy my program and save. So all types and pointers, pointer 33.c. So now I'm going to open my Turbo C++. So now I'm going to open my program is pointer. Okay, this is a program. So now I'm going to compile this program. So here I just missing the comma. So now I'm going to compile the program once again. So there is no errors. Now I am going to run the program. Now I am going to read the two values from the keyboard, that is a 45 and 56. Among these two numbers, which value is the biggest value, that value is going to display. So the biggest number is 56. So that is a program. With help of a pointers, we will find out the biggest among two numbers. So that's all about today's session. And if you have any doubts, you can you can post your query in the chat box. In the next session, uh, I will go on to discuss about data sectors. So in the next session, I will go and discuss about data sectors. So now, if you have any doubts, you can ask, you can post your query in the chat box. And if you like this video, you can click on thumbs up button. So if you like this video, you can click on thumbs up button. And if you don't have any doubts, that's all about today's session. So if you have any doubts, please post your query in the chat box. So even though if it is online or it is offline, I will try to answer your queries. So that's all about today's session, and we'll go and meet in the next session. In day 23, we'll go and discuss about data sectors. So thank you for attending the session. Have a nice day. We'll go and meet in the next class. Thank you.